Donald Trump's former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations slamming his pick for Director of National Intelligence, Nikki Haley, who criticized Tulsi Gabbard for meeting with Syria's Bashar al-Assad and argued that Gabbard repeated Russian talking points.
This is not a place for a Russian, Iranian, Syrian, Chinese sympathizer. DNI has to analyze real threats. Are we comfortable with someone like that at the top of our national intelligence agencies?
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and we need to have a real conversation about Tulsi Gabbard.
New reporting uncovers how she has become a favorite among the state media of one of America's adversaries, Russia. That's according to the New York Times, which reports this, quote, "In Russia, the reaction to her potential appointment has been gleeful." And, quote, "The CIA and the FBI are trembling," a Russian newspaper wrote on Friday in a glowing profile of Ms. Gabbard, noting positively that Ukrainians consider her, quote, "an agent of the Russian state."
Let me be clear. This isn't just about her controversial nomination as Director of National Intelligence. No, this is about revenge, Russian influence, and a calculated dismantling of everything that holds our democracy together. Let's break it down because, folks, this is way bigger than you think. Nikki Haley, even she said it best. This is not a place for a Russian, Iranian, Syrian, Chinese sympathizer. She wasn't pulling punches, and neither will I.
She called for Trump to end the destructive trade war with China. So now she's defended Russia, she's defended Syria, she's defended Iran, and she's defended China. Now, she has not denounced any of these views, none of them. She hasn't taken one of them back. DNI, Department of National Intelligence, this is not a place for a Russian, Iranian, Syrian, Chinese sympathizer.
Tulsi Gabbard has been making headlines for all the wrong reasons for years now. Let's start with her connections to Bashar al-Assad, the butcher of Syria. She sat down with the man while innocent people were being gassed and massacred under his orders. And let's not forget her anti-NATO rhetoric that aligns so perfectly with Russian propaganda. It's almost like Putin's scriptwriters have handed it to her directly. Back when Russia invaded Ukraine, Gabbard blamed NATO. Let me repeat that. She blamed our Western alliance, the very backbone of freedom, for provoking Russia. That's the kind of talk that makes allies shake their heads and adversaries cheer. Now Trump wants to put her in charge of the very intelligent agencies that track Russian aggression. Are you kidding me? This isn't just a bad pick. It's a dangerous one. And speaking of Russia, let's not forget what Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein said just recently. Woodward himself sat down with Dan Coats, Trump's former director of national intelligence, and asked him straight up about Trump's relationship with Putin. And Coats said, and I want you to let this sink in, it's so close it seems like it might be blackmail.
I talked a couple of months ago to Dan Coats, the former director of national intelligence under Trump, and I said, what's going on in this relationship between Trump and Putin? And Dan Coats said, it's so close, it seems like it might be blackmail. CIA Director Bill Burns said, Putin manipulates. He's professionally trained to do that. And it's what he did when Trump was in office previously. And he's planning it again at playing Trump.
That's not me saying it, that's Dan Coats, the man who was in the room, who saw it all unfold. And let's not forget CIA Director Bill Burns, who said Putin is a master manipulator trained to exploit weaknesses. Folks, if Putin has leverage over Trump, and it sure as hell looks like he does, what does that say about Trump nominating someone like Tulsi Gabbard? Let's talk about the man behind the nomination, Donald Trump. This guy has been cozying up to Putin since day one. Remember Helsinki? Trump stood next to Putin and took his word over our own intelligence agencies. And now he wants to hand the keys to the U.S. intelligence to someone like Gabbard, a person who aligns with Putin's narrative and parrots his talking points. Folks, this isn't just incompetence. This is a strategy, or worse, it's submission. And then there's Gabbard's stance on whistleblowers and dissent. In 2020, while still a Democrat, Gabbard introduced legislation to end the prosecution of whistleblowers like Edward Snowden and Julian Assange. She argued that these individuals were being unfairly targeted for exposing the truth about government overreach. Now, I'm all for protecting whistleblowers who shed light on corruption, but let's be clear. Snowden leaked classified information that compromised our national security. And Assange, he published U.S. intelligence secrets that made our allies question their trust in us. This is where Gabbard's view got dangerous. As Director of National Intelligence, she would oversee the very agencies she's criticized for years. How does that work? Do we want someone leading our intelligence apparatus who sympathizes with those who undermine it? Her track record suggests she prioritizes dissent over the security of our nation. And that's not the kind of leadership that we need in this role. Gabbard's nomination fits perfectly into Putin's playbook. His goal is to weaken our alliances, disrupt our intelligence operations, and sow chaos in our democracy. By nominating someone with a record of parroting Russian propaganda and undermining our intelligence community, Trump is handing Putin a gift-wrapped package labeled U.S. intelligence. But let's not forget, Tulsi Gabbard has her own score to settle. This nomination isn't just about Trump's revenge, it's about hers too. Back in 2016, she stood up to the Democratic establishment by endorsing Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton. That move sparked a feud that still burns today. Clinton accused Gabbard of being a favorite of the Russians, and Gabbard fired back, calling Clinton the personification of the rot in the Democratic Party. She left the party in 2022, claiming it had become an elitist cabal of warmongers. And what did she do next? She didn't just quietly walk away. She jumped into the arms of Fox News and Tucker Carlson. She started stumping for Republicans and aligning herself with Trump. This is a woman who made enemies in the Democratic Party and now has the opportunity to make them pay. If this nomination hurts the DNC or the Democrats in any way, Tulsi Gabbard and her supporters will see this as a victory. Let's talk about why MAGA loves her. It's not just about her attacks on the Democrats. It's about how she took down Kamala Harris during the presidential debates. MAGA sees her as a wrecking ball, someone who can dismantle what they call the deep state and go after their perceived enemies. Her debate performances against Harris have been framed as the right as legendary takedowns, and that symbolism is powerful. Trump knows this. He knows that by putting Gabbard in a high-profile role, he's not just nominating a loyalist, he's sending a message. This is about maximizing terror and reminding the Democrats that no matter how hard they fight, he will always find a way to hit them where it hurts. The transformation of Tulsi Gabbard is something else. As a Democrat, she spoke out against Trump's ties to Saudi Arabia, even questioning Jared Kushner's $2 billion deal with the Saudis. She was against U.S. complicity in Saudi crimes, especially after the brutal murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. But now, she's stumping for the very man she once criticized. Is this about principles, or is it about power and revenge? This nomination isn't just about a controversial pick. It's a direct threat to our democracy and national security. The Director of National Intelligence oversees all U.S. intelligence agencies. It's a role that requires trust, competence, and loyalty to the Constitution, not to a political party or a foreign power. Gabbard's history raises serious questions about whether she can be trusted with this responsibility. If our allies lose faith in the United States because they see Gabbard as too cozy with Russia, they will hold back critical intelligence. That's not just bad, it's dangerous. This is about protecting our country, and Trump's playing games with our safety. Adam Kinzinger said it best. Faith leaders, you did this. Let's be real. Trump is no godly man. He's an adjudicated rapist, a pathological liar, and a man who launched a coup against our democracy. But faith leaders stood by him because they were afraid of losing their congregations and their money. They looked out at their flocks, saw the Trump stickers on the cars, and decided to stoke the fires of hatred rather than preach love and justice. Let me ask you this. What's so satanic about Kamala Harris wanting to lower prescription drug costs or help people afford homes? Nothing. But you chose to demonize her while supporting a man who can't name a single Bible verse. Faith leaders, when this all comes crashing down, and it will, you will be held accountable. You led your flocks down this path, and you will answer for this. This isn't just about Tulsi Gabbard. This is about a broader attack on our institutions, our democracy, and our values. Trump's nomination of Gabbard is a power play, a revenge plot, and a gift to Vladimir Putin. It's up to us to resist this madness, to call it out for what it is, and to fight for the soul of our nation. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.